Hello guys, hope you are doing great. Welcome back to my video tutorial series on Google Ad Manager. So in this video tutorial, we'll work towards the setup that we did in the last video, and we'll work towards optimizing that setup. We'll be adding in Amazon's header bidding to our setup and an outstream network called as PRIMIS. Our sources of revenue will now fall into three buckets. At first, we have AdSense Auto Ads. So as I have mentioned to you in the last video tutorial, AdSense Auto Ads is an AI based system that Google has actually put up, and it performs best when it comes to the CPM. So I recommend enabling Auto Ads. At next, we have our own ad manager units. So these ad units, earlier we backfilled them only by AdSense, but now we'll add in Amazon's header bidding in competition with AdSense, and we'll configure them such so that each and every bid from Amazon is also competing against bids from AdSense, and the network paying us the highest CPM is actually serving. So we'll configure it in this way so your revenue will be maximized. Now at last we have a unit from PRIMIS. So PRIMIS is an outstream video inventory platform, and it gives us a way to integrate an outstream unit into our sites. So the unit looks something like this. And why we need to have this PRIMIS unit implemented is because PRIMIS or any outstream video ads have nearly like 3 to 4x CPMs, I would say, of that when compared to the normal display ads. So this is a must have in your actual monetization kit, and I'll recommend this for all of you. Now something about this overall setup. So I've already tried and tested this setup on a couple of publishers, and on some publishers I've noticed 2 to 3x of their revenues increase. So yeah, I know that this setup works. Let's now start with actually applying for Amazon Publisher Services. So I'm in Google inside here, and I'll just type in Amazon Publisher Services. So here, the first organic link you see, you can go ahead and click on Unified Marketplace. So we are inside the Amazon Publisher website now, and to get started, it's basically an invitation based system. It started with an invitation based system, but here you can actually see on if you qualify by filling in the form in here. So you can select, for instance, I'm a publisher, so I'm selecting in here a publisher, and the type is web. You can fill in all the relevant details and click on submit. So I'm not doing it because I already have an account for Amazon Publisher Services. And once you are done, Amazon usually takes like 2 to 3 days to respond to you. So if you're approved, you'll get an email quite soon as well. So it might depend, but you can expect an SLA of around 2 to 3 days. Once you receive an email from Amazon that everything is set up from their end, you can sign in into your Amazon account. So your Amazon account, once you signed in, will look something like this. So you need to navigate towards your setup tab to actually start with the setup of Amazon. Now first thing is setting up your Google Ad Manager account. So it is abbreviated as CAM, so don't get confused. All you have to do is you have to click on the setup button and follow along the instructions over the screen. So you'll be asked to authenticate over to your ad manager account, where you'll be asked to enable the APIs, and Amazon will automatically push all your line items via the API. So this process is quite easy. You just have to click on this button and follow along with the instructions. Now, if you were doing this setup of another header bidding, so this process might have been manual for you. So what I mean by manual, right now here we are setting up the line items via an API. However, if you are setting up header bidding of App Nexus, for instance, or you're going for pre-bid, you would have to manually create header bidding line items, and I can say that that is a pain if you have to, especially considering that inside header bidding you might have to create anywhere between 100 to 1000 line items. So Amazon has got this sorted for us, so we need to not worry about that. I'm not doing it because I cannot do it once again because I've already set it up. Now similarly, sellers.json setup, you have to all you have to do is you have to click on this setup icon, and you have to just fill in your company name and your company domain name. So that's it with this, and it's pretty easy to set up as well. However, the thing that is a little bit tricky and I would walk you through is the process of actually setting up your site's JavaScript code with Amazon and your ads.txt file. So I'll be showing you these two processes step by step. Click on the setup button on the site setup tab. So we'll lead to a screen that looks something like this, and we have to enter into the setup. Now we have to click on go to resources. So what we are going to do is we are going to add the JavaScript into our website's head section. So this code will follow along our the earlier header code that we implemented from Google Ad Manager. So here is something that we have is our publisher ID. So I'm just copying in our publisher ID. I'm just navigating back into the Visual Studio Code as I prefer editing files in here. I'm just renaming this as temp.js because this is a JS file, and Visual Studio Code has got, sorry, the things didn't get copied, so copying it up once again. So there's actually some issue in which the things don't get copied in here, but yeah, now we have the publisher ID. I'm just keeping it temporarily over here. Now the second thing we have is the JavaScript. So let me go ahead and copy this. I'm not using this button of the copy code as somehow it doesn't work. So I'm just trying to manually copy, just trying to ensure that it gets copied. Okay, so we have in the header bidding code in here. One thing that I'm going to quickly do is I'm copying this code from here and I'm replacing it inside the publisher ID, you know, uh, field that we have in here. So I am copy pasting this in here. So this is the finalized code from Amazon. So we have in here a couple of things that we need to edit, and this will vary depending upon your ad manager header code. Let's now proceed to the WordPress backend of the site we have been building from the last video tutorials, and we can go ahead and click on the admin section here. So we'll navigate towards advanced ads, and yeah, the ads in here. Here is our header code. So if you haven't been following along with the instructions in the previous videos tutorials, you can either watch the previous video tutorials or you must be knowing where the header code of your website is implemented. So I'll need you to fetch that header code. So this is the header code for us. So I am copy pasting this in our clipboard and going back to our Visual Studio Code. So I'll paste this code along after this. Okay, so now we have two sections. One is the code from Amazon and another is the code from Google Ad Manager. So in the process of the ordering, first we'll need to implement the code from Ad Manager, then we'll need to implement the code from Amazon. So this is one slight change that I've made. Now in terms to the Amazon's header bidding code, we'll need to enter in here the slot ID. So slot ID is the ID of the slot in here, the div ID. So I'm copy pasting in the div ID from in here. So I'm entering the div ID. So they have also mentioned in comments the example of a div ID, so it's easier for us if you are not aware. Now we have to enter in the our ad manager ad unit path. So for the same ad unit, for the leaderboard one, we'll fetch in the ad manager ad unit path. So yeah, so this. Now we'll proceed to provide in the size. So this size is For this ad unit, we are supporting like two sizes, so I'll mention both of them. So I'm mentioning in here 728 cross 90 and 300 cross 250. Now let's repeat the steps for the other ad units. So you can pause this video and you can actually perform these steps for your ad units. I've now finished these steps for the remaining ad units as well. So there was actually a need to add in another ad slot, as the default code only provided two slots. So to add another slot, you can simply add a comma and copy paste the code in here. So yeah, this is how easy it is, and you can add n number of ad units. Ideally it will be the same number of ad units that you have in your ad manager ad code. So yeah, removing the comma from the end, so just ensure that the last line doesn't have the comma, so the last slot doesn't need to have the comma. So this is how our code is looking like from Amazon and ad manager. There's one quick thing that we need to add in into our ad manager code. So to do that, I would navigate back into the Amazon UI here. Okay, so here they have given us integration examples. So I'm clicking on in here, and there's a specific line of code that I'm actually looking for. So yes, so I was looking for this disable initial load function. So this actually ensures that these ad manager units are only loaded after the Amazon's code has been fully processed. So what we'll do is we'll copy paste this, and we'll proceed it to implement after before your enable single request function. So I'm just implementing it in here. So that's it guys, this is the completed code, and we do not need to change anything inside this. All we need to do is copy paste this and go back to our WordPress. So going back to our WordPress, closing in the unnecessary tabs, back to advanced ads. So what we'll do is we'll actually replace the header code with the code we have in our clipboard. So just excuse me for a second while this loads up, and it's loaded now. I'm deleting this completely and pasting in the complete code in here. So just removing in the blank space. Okay, so this is the adventure code and this is your Amazon's code. So that's it guys. We can click on update. Now how do we verify whether we have done everything correctly? So one thing obviously is to wait and to see in after like 2-3 days whether your revenue is actually coming in, but we can instantly verify the code implementation. So just navigate to the site. Okay, for some reason this button is hanging up, so I'll just quickly change in the URL from in here. So to actually check whether your integration was successful, you can go to the inspect element, and inside the console you can type in APS tag dot debug console enabled. So this is statement is actually provided in by Amazon. You can copy paste in here. So here if you get debug console enabled, and if you check the site and scroll down, you'll see the integration analysis. So it's telling us that the APS tag is defined, the field arguments are correct, and display function was called, API is in correct order, and arguments were correctly passed to the init function. So that's it guys. Our Amazon, we can confirm, has Amazon's JavaScript code has been correctly integrated. Now one last step to actually, sorry, not here, one last step to finish our setup would be to set up our Ads.txt file. So I'm just quickly showing you here how to do. So we can click on the setup button here. We can go, okay, needs update. Okay, click on the update here. Sorry, not there. So this will give us the ads.txt entry. So we can, copy paste in the entire entries from here and, paste it inside our ads.txt file. So in the advanced ads, we have created the ads.txt file. I've already showed you this step in the previous video tutorials. So we have to go here, navigate in here and paste in the lines in here. So we can save the settings on this page. And that's it. So let's quickly verify whether the ads.txt is correctly loading slash ads.txt. Yes, so we see all the entries from Amazon in here. Now all the steps have been actually completed. So if you go to the setup tab, you will see all tick marks in here. So this process will not happen immediately. It might take like up to 1 to 2 days to complete. So Amazon usually takes up some time to detect the changes made by you. Now, before we conclude this video, one last step that is pending is integrating Primis. So as you can see on my screen, I've opened the Primis's website. I'll share its link with you. So just to recap you once again, Primis is an outstream video network that has really good CPMs that can be nearly 2 to 3x of that of display ads. So Primis or any other outstream video network is a must have in your monetization kit. Now to actually see if you qualify, you can fill in their contact form in here. Please fill in all the relevant details in here and click on the submit button. So once you send it, Primis will contact you. Now in case you are actually encountering any issues with Primis contacting you, you can send me an email at my email address, that is parambhatia51@gmail.com, and I'll try to personally connect you with Primis. Now, coming back to the website I created, we are planning to integrate Primis on this slot. So you can always, find your own spot where you want to integrate. So we have integrated 3 ad units and we have one ad slot from Ad Manager that is displaying here. So I plan to implement my ad unit here. And if you want, you can also create a new ad unit. So for creating a new ad unit, please follow along the instructions in my previous video. If you qualify, Primis will contact you back and will send you over the instructions to implement your ad tags. So Primis will also guide you. However, I'll show you how to integrate. So I in here have an example wherein like Primis shared me with a code. So this is for another publisher. So I'm going to show you how to integrate it. Now this is the third party code. So let's jump into our ad manager UI. So we are back to your ad manager UI and we have in here a line item that we have already scheduled. In addition, in the inventory sections, by default, we have configured backfill for the ad units via AdSense. So these are the two things we have done. Now, first thing I'll do before actually stepping forward is actually I'll navigate to this line item and I'll change its priority from standard to house. So why we are doing this? We are doing this because this is our house ad and we want to ensure that this has the least priority. So to change a priority of an existing ad, simply click on the pause button in here and change in the priority. So a quick thing about the priorities, you see a numeric value assigned to each of the line item type. So the lower the number of the numeric value, higher is their priority. So sponsorship is the line item with highest priority and house is the line item with the least priority. So I'm setting this up to house. So right now the waterfall will look something like, at first we have AdSense that is competing with Amazon, and there's a competition happening in here. And if these two networks don't have an eligible ad, then we have this house ad serving. And at last, what we are doing is we are also configuring Primis. So we are giving Primis this particular ad in it. I've showed you earlier how to actually check which ad unit and to troubleshoot ad unit using Google Publisher Console. But here now I'll show you a unique way, another way to check the ad unit. Now we can simply go to the inspect element tab, and in here I am pressing this arrow in the corner, and I am going towards this ad unit's iframe. So here I see this ad unit name is medium rectangle. So here is how I was able to confirm that this is a medium rectangle unit. Go ahead and click on a new order, select in a name, so premise ad network. I am providing in the advertiser name as same as premise, because it's a programmatic network and we do not know like which actual client will actually serve an ads on our site. Because programmatic, it can be any advertiser, so that depends upon the advertiser that is signed into premise. Now in terms of the ad type, outstream video, even though it applies to you, or it might seem to you that you might select this option, you will go ahead and select the display option. Why? Outstream ad is a video ad that is serving on your display slot, so we are targeting a display unit, so select display. Now in terms of the line item name, I'm simply copy pasting this here and adding in the size. So we plan to serve it in the 300 cross 250 slot, so I'm giving it the 300 cross 250 size, and the creative size also remains 300 cross 250. In terms of the line item type, let's wait and think it through like what we want to do. So we plan to serve in premise here, so we are dedicatedly giving this ad unit to premise. Why we are not actually competing AdSense or any other network for this particular ad unit? Because we have already known that premise has an higher CPM, so an outstream network has a higher CPM, and there's only a limit of one network we can implement. So we are giving this one ad unit to premise. Now to ensure that it has the highest priority and it dedicatedly serves in that slot, we'll select the priority that is sponsorship. So if we select sponsorship, only premise ad will show in this particular slot. And how we are ensuring that? We are ensuring that by giving it a goal of like 100%. So if we specify in here like a goal that is less than 100%, then other line items will also get a chance to serve. Inside the delivery settings, we are setting the start time to immediately and end time to unlimited. And the display creative setting and all these things, we are keeping it to default. Now going towards the inventory, let's select in our ad unit. Now we are aware that this is our medium rectangle unit, so we are just selecting in the medium rectangle unit in here, and we are simply clicking on save. Okay, so let's approve the order in first. So I have a habit of actually approving this order first before adding the third party code. So I'm going ahead and approving this. Okay. And meanwhile also let's fetch in the third party code as we are going to implement it. So I'm copy pasting it here. Okay. So now inside the creative type, we are going to select third party. So there are a lot of creative types. When you click on add creative, new creative, oh wait, so this isn't giving an option here, so let's click on new creative from here. It will give, but the UI was laggy, so I chose that option. It might happen, so it's nothing to be worried about. You can, both the options work perfectly fine. So last time, if you remember, we selected an image. Now we are going to third party. We'll implement in the code for premise here, name it premise. We'll keep this serve into safe frame checkbox unchecked, and that's it. We can simply click on save. So guys, that's it. So we have actually served in the premise ad in this particular slot, or have we? Actually, while scheduling this line item, I noticed a unique issue. So inside ad manager, we only have a single ad in it for this. So if you remember in the previous video, we have only used a medium rectangle unit to serve ads to both these slots. So there isn't a way to uniquely identify which ad should serve in which particular ad slot. So I'll leave it for you guys to figure it out. One particular solution I've mentioned to you guys is that I can use it a new ad unit. So I can create medium rectangle 1 in here and medium rectangle 2 in here. But I want you guys to figure out this problem, and we'll discuss this in the start of the next video. And along with that, we'll also explore in a concept called as key values. So guys, I'm giving you a hint also, to how to resolve this issue. So yes, so this should actually be enough, and I would like to thank you guys for watching my video. Please like and subscribe if you liked my content, and keep watching out this space for more videos.